Good morning, everyone. This is RCB News, and I am Ryan Bowling. I want to get right down to the news at hand. I'm going to be reading an article from the Epoch Times. This article is entitled New York Governor Andrew Cuomo Announces Resignation Over Harassment Allegations. And some of you already heard about that, but this is my spin on it. I'm going to be reading from an article from the Epoch Times. It says New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, a Democrat, announced Tuesday he will resign effective in 14 days after allegations of sexual harassment that were detailed in the state attorney general's report last week. Cuomo's resignation came as the New York Assembly started deliberations Monday on an impeachment inquiry into his conduct, and as a top Democrat official, including President Joe Biden, called on him to resign. The best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to government, Cuomo said in a televised speech. But Cuomo said that he did not intentionally show disrespect towards any female staffers or women, asserting that the claims against him were, quote, politically motivated. An impeachment, however, would thrust New York into a state of turmoil for months, the three-term governor said, explaining that's why he's resigning. Governor Kathy Hochul, a 62-year-old Democrat and former member of Congress, or a woman that's trying to become the governor, will become the state's 57th governor and the first woman to head New York State. Now, let me make my comment right here before I read the rest of this, the conclusion of this article. Excuse me. In my opinion, this seems to be, and it's just my opinion, as one YouTuber said, my humble opinion, that this is about identity politics. He's not admitting that he did anything sexually exploitive or whatever. He's not admitting that. It seems to me that this is an attempt to have the first female governor to be in New York, to be the first female governor. And I don't have a problem with it. That's not a big thing. I don't care. I mean, as long as if you can show leadership abilities, that's all that matters. But if this is a thing about gender, is that proper? There's no admitting here of doing wrong. It seems to me, in my opinion, an attempt to try to push identity politics. Well, if I step out of the way, this will give this person, this individual, an opportunity to become the first female governor of New York. So it's all about male and female thing, right? In my humble opinion. That's what I think it is. I'm going to continue this article. It is a matter of life and death. Government operations and wasting energy on distraction is the last thing government should be, Cuomo also remarked. I cannot be the cause. New York tough means New York loving. And I love New York and I love you. Everything I have ever done has been motivated by their love, and I would never want to be unhelpful in any way. And speaking to his three daughters, Cuomo told them, I want them to know from the bottom of my heart that I never did and I never would intentionally disrespect a woman, treat any woman differently than I would want them treated, and that is the God's honest truth. Now, whether or not he's telling the truth or not, hey, I don't know. Politics is so funny, man. Politics is so funny because he's the same guy that spoke against Kaepernick when he was trying to become, he was about to be appointed to the Supreme Court justice. He accused him of sexual allegations, sexually touching and groping women or kissing women or whatever. He accused him of the same thing. So it's this back and forth political thing that just can sometimes be aggravating, But now it's coming back to haunt him. If this is not some kind of identity politics nonsense, it's now coming back to actually haunt him, because the same things that he was dishing out against someone else is coming back on him. Let me read the rest of this article. It says, it came about a week after New York Attorney General Letitia James, also a Democrat, wrote in a lengthy report that he engaged in sexual harassment and his chamber mishandled allegations against him. She did not charge the governor with a crime, although several sheriff's offices and prosecutors have announced they're investigating. Specifically, we find that the governor sexually harassed a number of current and former New York State employees by, among other things, engaging in unwelcome and non-consensual touching, as well as making numerous offensive comments of a suggestive and sexual nature that created a hostile work environment for women, her report said, adding that Cuomo's office was filled with, quote, fear and intimidation. James' office received criticism for how she handled the case, with even some Republicans saying she failed to issue criminal referrals against the governor. That's interesting, right? Why do these people wait until some kind of election? I mean, I believe midterm elections is coming up. This always seems to be the case. Letitia James dropped the ball by not making immediate criminal referrals when her investigation described numerous criminal acts against women, said New York Attorney General candidate Michael Henry, a Republican, in his statement. Cuomo separately is also accused of mishandling the state's response to the pandemic, namely that his administration concealed thousands of COVID-19 deaths among nursing home patients. And that's what I wanted to talk about just briefly. I find it very hypocritical on his part. The sexual allegations is something different. I see that. I mean, I hear that all the time in politics. Democrats accusing Republicans of sexual harassment. Republicans accusing Democrats of sexual harassment. We can go back and forth on that. But this whole idea of his mishandling of these patients who were clearly older people is what bothered me. That's what bothered me, because you're dogging Trump out and you're saying all these negative things about Trump and how he's mishandling the pandemic and so forth. And right in your own state, you're mishandling the same thing. It says, namely, that his administration concealed thousands of COVID-19 deaths among nursing home patients. Evidently, he was hiding that. So why was he hiding it? Why were you hiding that, sir? That shows hypocrisy. And people in America, regardless of what political party you're in, are getting tired of the hypocrisy. People want real politicians. They want people that really care about the people and not about themselves and not about these big donors that's giving them all this money. And when they get in office, they turn their back on their people. People are sick of that. That's got to stop. Let me continue with this article. That comes in stark contrast to how he was praised during the early stages of the pandemic in 2020, with some pundits lauding his daily press conference as being a counter to former President Donald Trump's daily pandemic updates. Cuomo's briefing won him an International Emmy Award, whatever that is. You guys can tell me what that is. I'm going to have to look that up. I should have, but I didn't have a chance to. I don't know what that means, an International Emmy Award. But it says Cuomo's briefing won him an International Emmy Award, and he went on to write a book on leadership during the crisis. And this, you'll find a link to that description in the description box. But that really is disturbing to me, that this man gets a book deal, and he gets, I'm pretty sure he's getting all kinds of money and so forth. I was watching one video, I think it was Anthony Brown Logan's video, and he said that even though Cuomo said had this book deal, the book didn't go anywhere. It just gave Cuomo's clout, political clout. You know, who really wants to read about that? I think most Americans, and I'm giving my spin on this, most Americans in this country don't really fully trust any of these politicians on any greater level. The ones that's been entrenched in politics for so long, I don't think a lot of Americans really fully trust them. So when they write a book, you know, no one's going to really come out and say, oh, I want to read Cuomo's book or this person's book or that person's book. They really don't trust you that much. You know, you might get a few few purchases here and there, but nothing really to really write home to mother about. So it seems to be all about political clout. Whatever I can do to get people to focus on me and what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to campaign for, that's what I'm going to do. But as Americans, I think a lot of Americans, in my own opinion, I think a lot of Americans are waking up to this reality. They're starting to wake up and see, wait, man, something's not right about this. That's why, regardless of what you think about Trump, um, Trump was against certain political pushes. I'm trying to watch what I say here on YouTube because I don't want to be censored. But Trump was against certain political endeavors. And I believe that because he was against certain political endeavors, that those entrenched in politics on both the right and the left was coming against him, demonizing him in every way that they could to get him out of office. And Trump, even though he was a flamboyant person, very outspoken and so forth, a lot of the things that he said, I personally believe were true. He was against certain aspects. He was against jobs being shipped off into other countries and so forth. He was against all of those type of things that was designed to consolidate power. And so he was trying to bring America back to where it was originally was many decades ago. The country that everyone loved to want to visit, at least become a part of. So think what you say what you want to, but in my opinion, that's what I think on that. Now, moving forward, I want to start doing something a little different. I want to introduce some books that I think would be very, very beneficial to you viewers. Some of you may or may not have these books. But I want to introduce a series of books here that it's actually a 3-volume series called, it's from the Epoch Times, the editors of the Epoch Times, and it's called How the Specter of Communism is Ruling Our World. And this is it here. How the Specter of Communism is Ruling Our World. This is volume 1 of a 3-volume book series that's very, very informative. Very informative books on, if you don't know anything about communism and how that system has infiltrated the West, these series of books, these 3-part series of books are very, very helpful. And I just want to read a few paragraphs from this book and show you how the connection of what's going on now and what these editors are writing about is so prevalent. I mean, this book is really good. I'm going to read from the introduction, a few paragraphs from the introduction, and it's entitled Socialism, the Preliminary Stage of Communism. Socialism, the Preliminary Stage of Communism. Because how many of us know that socialism is the big push here in America? In fact, there was one statistical research project that was conducted that said that over 40% of millennials believe that socialism is the best economic policy for America. Now, why would they be believing that? That's interesting. Why would they be believing that? There's a reason for that. And these books, particularly this one in particular, gives an explanation for that. These people that wrote these editors that wrote these books, if any of you do not have these books or don't know much about Epoch Times and their newspaper, these editors are from China. Many of them are from China, so they know what communism really is. And let me read these few paragraphs and then think about what they're saying here. It says, in the West, many view socialism and communism as being separate, which provides fertile ground for socialism to flourish. In fact, according to Marxist Leninist theory, socialism is simply communism's preliminary stage. Excuse me. Let me take a little swig here, orange juice. Coming out a little sniffle here. It ain't COVID, and it ain't the Delta variant, so relax. In 1875, in Critique of the Gotha Programme, Marx put forward the idea that there is an initial phase of communism, which is followed by a higher phase. Friedrich Engels, compelled by changes in the international situation in his later years, also proposed, listen to this, democratic socialism, in which votes were used to obtain political power. Democratic socialism was adopted by social democratic party leaders and theorists of the Second International and led to the left-wing parties in many capitalist countries around the world today. Later, Lenin set down clear definitions of socialism and communism. He considered socialism to be the preliminary stage of communism and communism to be developed on the basis of socialism. The state ownership and planned economy of socialism are part of the initial preparations for communism. Now listen to the rest of this. Socialism has always been part of Marxism and the international communist movement. While branches of socialism or left-wing doctrines popular in the West seem superficially unrelated to communism, they are not, now listen to this, they are non-violent forms of the same root ideology. Just because they don't have guns saying, hey, I want to take over and shooting up everybody doesn't mean it's not a variant or a aspect of communism. It's just a softer form of it. The paragraph goes on to say, left-wing parties come to power in Western countries through elections rather than violent revolution. High taxation serves the same role as the outright state ownership seen under communist regimes, and excessive social welfare is used in place of planned economics. Creating a welfare state is an important aspect of realizing socialism in Western countries. Okay. It is thus impossible to understand the dangers of communism or socialism by focusing solely on the violence and slaughter committed by regimes that espouse those ideologies. So I just wanted to read a few of those paragraphs to basically explain to some extent the difference between socialism and communism. Many of our politicians today are in support of socialism. And many people in America today support socialism, not realizing that according to Lenin, that socialism is just the preliminary stages to communism. And if you know anything about communism and the history of communism in countries like Venezuela, Vietnam, China, Russia, if you know anything about those countries in the past, as I said before, millions upon millions of people have lost their lives through starvation, being shot, killed, put in prison, you name it. They've been taken out of here. And so I just wanted to bring that out. I just wanted to mention that maybe perhaps you guys may want to purchase this book. Go to Epoch Times. You can get their subscribe to their newsletter. I actually get the paper itself, which is right here. I think I showed you some time ago. This is the actual paper. This is the latest one, Epoch Times here. And I just received it about a couple of days ago, actually. And I also get it on my phone. So I can just read, whatever briefing. And sometimes they'll get briefings on things right away. It's only like a few paragraphs. So almost at the minute, a few paragraphs, you read it, get it out of the way. They keep you informed all the time. So my summary in this is just simply to say that here's the deal. And I said this before. How we defeat this whole ideology, all this fakery, is we continue to expose it. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to be on YouTube. I may have to transfer over to something else. But I want to continue to do this. And I'm encouraging every one of you who may have a YouTube channel who are doing similar things as myself and others on the conservative side is to continue to expose these ideologies. And not only the conservative side, some of you might be Democrats. I'm a conservative. I don't support the Democratic platform, but that's another story, and I digress. There are some Democrats that are very moderate. They love the country, and they're not trying to bring communism here. So the key to that, one of the keys to that, is to continue to expose what they do. It's not taking up guns and trying to take it over the White House or whatever the case may be, but it certainly is exposing the dangers of this type of political ideology and continues to do so. That's why they're pushing back so hard against us, because evidently we must be having an effect, or else they wouldn't keep pushing back. They wouldn't keep trying to censor us. You can only or will only censor people who are a real threat to you. Okay, so I hope everyone is having a great day. You guys take care, and if you like this video, press the like button, make your comments, subscribe, and share this video. God bless you and see you next time.